What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2011 Lexus LS600hL. Up front is a 5.0 liter V8 as well as a hybrid system, and down below is an eCVT. Now, I am super excited to be driving this LS600H for many reasons. First of all, this car has the executive seat package, which we'll talk about with the back seats. As you might notice, that segment's a little bit longer than normal, and that's because there are so many features back there. But the other reason is the fact that I love these aging Lexus products. I think they're really good bang for your buck, and I think throughout this video, I'll make that very obvious. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackpradel.com, where you can buy stickers and other merchandise when it becomes available. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form, and you get a video of your car just like this one. And you could read my behind-the-scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out, Mark III Supra, before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that 5-liter V8 under the hood. Well, this engine is partially shared with like the ISF, the GSF, and the LC500 from Lexus. However, the heads are changed a little bit, the design of it has changed a little bit, but they share the same core engineering and same core ideas. Now, horsepower for this car is disputed because some people factor in the electric motors, some people don't. There's different hybrid math that you can do. At the end of the day, it's going to be around 400 horsepower. I've seen readings as low as 389. I've seen readings as high as 440. So there's a little discrepancy when it comes to horsepower, but that at the end of the day, what you need to know is that it's definitely adequate. This thing moves, it boogies, and for a hybrid, it definitely doesn't feel like a hybrid. Now, like I said, paired to it is that eCVT, and it really doesn't bother me, except for when I start off. When you pull away, there is this weird hesitation that the car does. And you can feel that it's the transmission not really knowing what it wants to do. But as soon as you get going, all of those fears, all those worries just melt away, and it is a very smooth driving experience. Last but not least about the particular drivetrain is the fact that this is all-wheel drive, and they only ever came all-wheel drive. Now, if you went down to the 460, the LS460, that you could spec in rear-wheel drive, but because of the hybrid system and the way the motors are designed, these are only available in all-wheel drive. Now, before we talk about the driving feel, I do want to talk about reliability a little bit, because anytime I step foot in a hybrid vehicle, I always know that there's extra things that might go bad. Batteries, motors, it's just more stuff that can fail. Well, I'm happy to report that this car still has its original drivetrain, and it's sitting at 140,000 miles. Just kidding, it's sitting at 261,000 miles. It is well over 250,000 miles on this vehicle, on the original hybrid system, on the original engine, on the original eCVT. That, to me, speaks volumes. And I was ready to say in this video, oh, it's a good car, but you gotta worry about the hybrids. You don't have to worry about the hybrid system. Maintain your car like you would, and it will pay dividends. So how does it feel to actually drive the LS600H? It's very comfortable. It's very plush. It's smooth. It's quiet. It's elegant. There's a little bit of road feel, but definitely not enough to really notice. It's going to be a luxurious experience. You don't have to worry about it. So with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a bunch of digital gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer and coolant temperature. In the center, I get my speedometer, along with some information like what the hybrid system is actually doing, which is nice to just keep an eye on. And off to the right, I have my fuel and, of course, the power and charge gauge that you'll be familiar with Toyota hybrids. On the steering wheel on the left, I have my volume, voice commands, brake hold, park assist, mode, and skip track. And then off to the right, I have more phone options, reset and display, my parking sensors, lane keep assist, and cruise control, of which this does have adaptive cruise. The steering wheel feels nice. You can tell this leather on the outside has aged a little bit, but someone's been holding it for over 250,000 miles, so that's totally fine to see. However, I do want to talk about the wood accents on the wheel because this is the first place you'll notice it. All the wood accents in this car are from the same tree. Lexus will find a tree for a car and make all the wood accents out of the same one, so all the grain is the same, all the coloring is the same. And I really, really like that, you know? It's like when you set up your action figures to all stand together in hopes that when you leave, they can all hang out and they have buddies to sit with. Toy Story really did a number on me as a kid. Yeah, oh well. Off to the left, I do have my power mirrors, my auto folding mirrors, EV mode, so this vehicle can be driven off of just the electric motors at slow speeds for short distances. Then I have my heated steering wheel, parking sensors, and then my gas cap and trunk release down below. Moving on to the door, I have 3 memory seat options, my button to raise or lower the seatbelt mounting point so it doesn't cut into your neck, and then I have the power locks and power windows. Of course, Toyota and Lexus used to label all auto on their cars. They've stopped doing this. I think it looks really tacky, so not a big fan of that, but that's okay. Moving into the center, I get 2 climate control vents and the hazard switch, as well as a little digital clock in the center. And then I have the infotainment system. I'm not going to harp on this too long because pretty much every Lexus/Toyota infotainment from this era was the same. However, some of the climate controls are ran through this screen, and I'm not a big fan of that, but definitely not the end of the world and very typical for the era. The Lexus ISF is the same way. But we do have some physical climate controls. I do get dual zone and of course auto, where to send it down below, heated mirrors, which is very nice. Then I do have a CD player, as well as it can play DVDs. We'll talk about that in a second, but simple, clean, does the job. Then I have the ashtray and cigarette lighter, and then we come down to the center console. Off to the left is the shifter. This is a very typical Toyota shifter. I call these the jigsaw shifter because there's no button. You just kind of move it left and right to get it in and out of gear. Then we have a couple of drive modes and suspension settings. So off to the left, I have power, hybrid, and snow mode. Hybrid is going to be your normal mode. That's for driving around normally like I am now. However, you can't put it into power mode. Pretty self-explanatory. And of course, snow mode, again, very self-explanatory. Then we have our suspension settings. So I have comfort and sport. Sport is going to stiffen it up. Obviously, comfort's going to loosen it up. But then I also have height high. So this will raise the air suspension as high as it'll go, maybe to clear a certain speed bump or pothole, or moving at slow speeds, you want to raise the vehicle up, you can do that here. Off to the right, we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here on the LS600H, and unfortunately it fails. Didn't really expect it to pass, but unfortunately, although I am in the laps of luxury, I cannot bring a whole lot of water. Then we have more settings down below here. So I have heated and ventilated seats for the front 2 occupants, as well as I have my rear seat options, and I can raise and lower my rear sunshades. However, we'll talk more about that with the back seat. Then I do get an opening center console. Nothing really too interesting in there. Then we'll talk about the seats themselves. They are power, heated, ventilated, and memory. These do not get the massage feature, however the back seats do, and we'll talk about that later. But as a driver's seat, they're very, very comfortable. This whole experience has been very comfortable. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, and these back seats have the executive seat package, which is strict to the back seats. So let's talk about all the features, and then we'll go for a ride in the back. All right, so to start this backseat review, I'm actually gonna start off outside the car because there's so much stuff to show you once we're inside. So this gets the executive seat package. And so what I found was that it was a $10,000 option for these LS600s in the early 2010s. Although I found that on a used car dealership website, I don't know how true that is, but it must have been a pretty expensive one nevertheless. The reason I wanted to do this POV style is because there's so many buttons and things down here that I really wanted to show you. So first of all, I have all my temperature and radio controls down here. I can control the front radio from back here, which is super, super nice. Up here, we do have this little switch. Pull that down, and then this is a little table. So you can do your work, you can have a little meal maybe, and you can swivel it over to the other side. So if they want to utilize it, they can, or you swivel it back this way. You could put your little laptop, put your little phone. At this point, probably like a Palm Pilots were still things. And then there's a little clip down here. and that pushes it down, and then you push it back in. Then we do have sunshades. So we have sunshades not only on the rear, but you have them on the sides. Take a note of that little tiny one that comes off to the left to block the sun of this little window. Look at that. That is pretty stinking neat, but we are not even close to being done yet. So we do have heated and ventilated seats back here. Absolutely love that. These are the little knobs that you get here. And then we have seat adjustment. So first of all, this says front. So hold that. And not only is it pushing that seat all the way forward, look at where my feet are now. Look at all the room that that's creating. I don't know if you can tell. It's leaning me back. So I actually have an ottoman that kicks my legs out. Only the passenger side gets that because it can move forward. This seat does not have an ottoman that scoots out. Just this seat because of that extra space. But I can stretch out pretty much fully and be barely touching the seat in front of me, if at all. And I know you can't tell, but my seat actually is reclined. So I can do auto. I can bring that back up. And so in the not reclined position, this is where my feet just naturally lay. I have maybe a foot and a half before it hits the seat in front of me. Really, really awesome stuff. Then I do have cup holders that pop out down here. And then we have the center console with some interesting features. So first of all, this is for the DVD player. So I can hit on and the DVD player actually folds down, which is really, really cool. Hit off and it closes right back up. But then we have the massage feature. So I can actually pull this out, and this is my massage remote. You can get a good look of all the different programs, all the different settings that I can give myself. This is awesome. Really, really cool. And this is basically like a vibrate setting, which is kind of weird. But the older LS430s that I've driven also do that as well. So really, really neat. I also do get a 12-volt outlet back here and video. I'm going to turn that off because you're going to be able to hear that. Then flipping around, we have some cubbies. So this is for the DVD player. You can plug in headphones if you would like. You can put your DVDs in there. However, you don't have to plug your headphones in because it actually comes with 2 pairs of wireless headphones. So I'll pull these out just because I don't know when the next time you'll see a pair of these are. I can't say that they're stylish, but they work. And they actually do have pretty good sound for being 12 years old. Actually not that bad. So pretty good sound. Moving on to the door, I do get an ashtray, which is really, really nice. And I get some memory seat options. And this means chair. When I open the door, it will automatically sit me up if I'm reclined, but if I turn this on, it won't sit me up when the door is opened. Moving up here, we do have some vanity mirrors, which is very, very nice. Hi. That works. And the last thing I want to talk about before we go for a ride with the owner driving and me riding in the back is this suede ceiling. This is a suede headliner. As you can see, it goes all the way around the interior, and it's very nice. However, a previous owner spilled something and got the whole headliner replaced. It cost him a measly $11,000. $11,000 to replace this headliner. Absolutely insane. So, very, very costly. If you do look at one and has a saggy headliner or needs the headliner replaced, just know it's going to be a little bit of an expensive job. But now, let's go for a ride. All right, so now we're riding around in the 600H. As you can see, I'm fully reclined. The owner, Nathan, is driving, and he's gonna do a little pull for me. It's nice and quiet, and even though he's doing a pull, it's comfortable. I'm not sliding out of my seat. I'm enjoying all these awesome amenities. I might as well be getting a massage. Let's turn that on. There we go. I don't know if I've ever had a better backseat experience, and I've done Escalades. I've done a lot of pretty nice luxury cars. The biggest difference with this is not only the seat that moves up, but the seat that reclines with the power ottoman. That is a huge, huge difference and just adds so much luxury to the car. How I put it is, I've stayed in nice hotels, I've stayed in cheap hotels. There's not a whole lot of difference between the two. But the biggest thing was that one time I was staying in a more expensive hotel, but I was checking in at like 2 in the morning. My flight was delayed, it was terrible, and I was in an awful mood. And the lady at the front desk of this nice hotel said, "Hey, how are you? How you doing? You know, can I get you a snack? I can ask the kitchen to maybe cook you up something." And that little extra inch of just generosity and kindness is the biggest difference at the end of the day. And that's how it is with this back seat. There are other cars that have big back seats like this, but it just has that extra little inch. It has that extra little thing. And it's the most comfortable thing in the world. I'm really loving these sunshades, and I could fall asleep back here. I just might. It's so nice. And even the road noise isn't that loud back here, as you would expect out of a sedan being closer to the road as like opposed to an Escalade. The road noise isn't bad. The suspension is great. It's a fantastic experience. If you can find one with the executive seat package, I highly recommend that you do. My apologies if it's a little windy, but I do have a press and hold button, and something really nice is that it actually completely fully opens up the rear trunk for you at the push of a button, which is really nice. Now, for some reason, the dealership that Nathan bought this from gave him 3 cargo nets. Not quite sure why, but something I did want to show you is that back here, it does cut down on trunk space because of the hybrid system. The hybrid system takes up a lot of the trunk room, so unfortunately, the 460 is going to have a bigger trunk than this because it doesn't have that hybrid system. The hybrid system also adds about 700 pounds to the overall vehicle weight. So it's not quite a featherweight, but that's to be expected. The overall trunk space for a big sedan is pretty good. I don't see many issues, but you do get less than the non-hybrids. Come up here, press this button, and it is a power rear trunk. Absolutely love that. Think that's a great handy feature. Now we got to talk about the looks, and the looks are probably the most subtle and sublime part of this car. It does not look special in my opinion. It's kind of a blobby, mushy Lexus from the late 2000s. The color's nice, and this does have the 18-inch wheels. You could either option the 19 or 18-inch wheels. A previous owner actually went with the 18s because they're supposed to ride a little bit nicer. So this does not have the bigger wheel option, which actually the bigger wheels were standard. These were actually the optional smaller wheels if you want to get technical. But the overall looks of the Lexus aren't that special. And that can be looked at 2 ways. First of all, stealth wealth. People don't know that you're riding in luxury. People don't know that you're powerful. And that can be a good thing. But also, if you like to flaunt and flex, this isn't really quite the car to do that in. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a Lexus LS600hL from 2011? Well, I'd be lying if I said I didn't love it. This car has done everything I want it to do, and it has been probably the most comfortable car I've driven in the last 6 months, to say the very least. It's a warm hug. And so I was thinking about it this morning, trying to figure out a good way to tie everything together. And I often get asked, being a reviewer, having driven over 1,000 cars, what's the perfect car? People want a make and a model of the perfect car. And the truth is, there is no perfect car, and there never, ever will be. I always quote my perfect car being the R33 Skyline, but if I had a family, that would be probably one of the worst cars I could own. If I had to tow a boat, again, not so good. So there is no perfect car, but there is the right car. You see, I think people get those two terms mixed up a lot. Sometimes the right thing isn't the perfect thing. I have a lot of friends that I've had for the last decade, and keeping up with those relationships can be stressful at times. Annoyances build up, tension, anger, you don't see this person, they're ghosting you, whatever it might be. And so you finally get to go to dinner with them and sit down, and you want it to be great. You want it to be the perfect dinner. You haven't seen each other in a very long time. But what ends up happening is you start bickering, you start arguing, maybe even a fight breaks out. And so at the end of the day, that was not a perfect dinner. But it was the right one. It was the one that had to happen. That's how I feel about this car. This isn't the perfect car. It's never gonna exist. But for me, from where I'm sitting, for what I'm doing right now, it's the right car. And for whoever loved it for that 260,000 miles, it was the right car for them too. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Nathan for letting me take out his LS600H, as well as driving me around in it for that fun extra backseat review. Nathan's been a huge help to the channel recently. I also drove his Prius last December, of which he actually traded in for this very LS. So he's been very, very helpful, and I can't thank him enough. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.